Here in Columbia, it's Missouri and Kansas State, and the color of game day in the Big 12. ABC Sports welcomes you to Columbia, Missouri, an unseasonably warm 54 degrees as we approach kickoff. The Missouri Tigers standing by, ready to play host to the Kansas State Wildcats. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough. Delighted to have you with us for this very important game to end the regular season for both teams. For Kansas State, they're trying to stay on a roll. They come in having won their last four by a margin of 215-30. They're looking for their 10th win of the season overall. Meanwhile, Missouri is 5-6. A win today would get them to the 500 mark and make them bowl eligible for the first time since 1998. I'm joined as always by David Norrie. And David, when you talk about this Kansas State team, you're talking about a team that's playing as well as anybody in the country right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure Miami or Ohio State would want to look at this team right now. They're that hot. Right now, their defense, they're giving up 11 points a game. On offense, they're scoring 46 points a game. They're in the top two in the country in defense and offense right now. And offensively, the big difference this year has been the quarterback, L. Roberson. I mean, he's been absolutely dynamic, running the football, a very good passer down the football field. And Sean, if he can break the ball in the secondary on the ground, he's as dangerous a runner as there is in the country.
There's no question here at Missouri, this is a program that is on the rise under second-year head coach Gary Pinkel. The reason why they're on the verge of bowl eligibility is their redshirt freshman quarterback, Brad Smith.
Yeah, everybody talks about Maurice Clarett over at Ohio State. Well, Brad Smith has been every bit as dynamic. He needs 1 yard rushing to become only the second quarterback in the history of Division I NCAA football to pass for 2,000 yards and rush for 1,000 yards. I think he's going to have his best game of the year, though, Sean, for Missouri to come out with a win.
Kansas State has dominated this rivalry in recent years. The Wildcats have won the last 9 head-to-head. Missouri trying to change that today. The kickoff from Columbia in a moment. Just a spectacular day here in mid-Missouri. Not a cloud in the sky overhead Faurot Field. Kansas State up to number 10 in the rankings, their highest mark of the season. Trying to keep their streak against Mizzou alive. Missouri leads the all-time series, but Kansas State, as we noted a moment ago, has won the last 9. The last Missouri win came in 1992. 54 degrees, the wind out of the northwest at 10 miles per hour, and the forecast is for it to remain an absolutely delightful day. And a big crowd on hand watching Bill Snyder's team. He's in his 14th season as the architect of what is arguably the greatest turnaround in the history of college football. Gary Pinkel didn't inherit quite a downtrodden program as the one that was inherited by Bill Snyder, but just 2 winning seasons for Missouri in the last 18. Pinkel trying to make them a consistent power and seems to have them on the right track. Missouri won the toss and elected to receive the opening kickoff from Jared Bright, the junior from Bakersfield, California. Sherdanya Mitchell, number 86, and Tyrone Roberson, number 25, back deep at the goal line for Mizzou. The breeze will be at the back of Bright as he kicks off. And we're underway. Final game of the regular season for both teams. Tyrone Roberson, the sophomore from St. Louis, did not reach the 20-yard line. He was banged down at the 19-yard line. Tackled by David Rose. There is a flag on the return.
Kicking team.
K-State offside, and undoubtedly Gary Pinkel will have them do it again and try to get better field position. Randy Crystal is the referee leading our Big 12 officiating crew today.
And Sean, if you look at what this Kansas State football team has done to Nebraska and Iowa State the last 2 weeks, you'd say, hey, they're going to come in, they're going to be a heavy favorite. But the last 2 times the Wildcats have visited Columbia, this Missouri team has given them fits. And if you go back to the 1998 season, the year that Kansas State lost in that double overtime game in the Big 12 championship game, almost played in the national championship game, they had to hold on late. It came in 10-0 and almost lost that game.
The standings in the Big 12 North, Colorado has clinched the berth in the championship game, even if the Buffaloes lose to Nebraska by virtue of their victory head-to-head. They will advance to the conference championship game. Bright will kick it off again. You mentioned Kansas State coming in off the victory over Nebraska, their largest victory ever against the Huskers last week in Manhattan, 49-13. In the game before that, they had their biggest win ever against Iowa State, 58-7. And in the game prior to that, they had their biggest win ever against Kansas, 64-0. So Missouri is hoping that K-State doesn't repeat that history and post their largest margin of victory ever against their opponent for the 4th week in a row. Bright drives it down to the 5-yard line. This time it's Shadanya Mitchell. And again, great coverage. And with the second kick, Missouri actually lost a couple of yards of field position. Daniel Davis made the tackle. And they'll spot the ball down at the 17-yard line. Brad Smith, the redshirt freshman quarterback, still just 18 years old. He's from Youngstown, Ohio. He'll turn 19 next month. And as David said, he needs 1 yard to become the second quarterback in Division 1A history to have a 2,000-yard passing, 1,000-yard rushing season. Zach Abram, their featured back, runs out of bounds near the 22-yard line. Brian Hickman chased him out. Here's the AT&T Wireless starting lineup on offense for Missouri. Abram, the lone back. They generally run out of the one-back, 3-wide receiver set. Justin Gage, one of the best wide receivers in the country. Outlaw and James. The other wideouts, Ben Frederickson, will alternate with J.D. McCoy at tight end. Gain of 5 on 2nd and 5. The pass is batted down. Corey White, the senior, knocked it down for K-State. The offensive line for Mizzou: Rob Draghi, Tony Palmer, A.J. Ricker, Cliff Young, and Scott Paffrath. Ricker, the center, making his 34th straight start today. 3rd down and 5. 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side for Missouri. Smith, short throw, and the ball dropped. It was a low throw and almost a terrific catch by Justin Gage. It's Smith off target, and it's 3 and out for Missouri.
Yeah, not a lot of success from the Missouri offense to open up this football game. And one thing Missouri's going to have to do, if they're going to have success on offense today, they're going to have to be able to throw the football. You cannot line up against this Kansas State defense and pound the ball at them on the ground. They're going to have to use the running game, Sean, as a bit of a changeup with Zach Abram.
Todd Goschler punting. He was pressed into emergency duty last week when their starting punter was injured in a warm-up drill. Booming kick back to the 29-yard line for Terrence Newman. He's going to take it all the way. Nobody even near him. Touchdown, Kansas State.
Touchdown, Kansas State.
71 yards on the punt return.
I mean, this seam opens up immediately to the left side. And the Missouri Tiger coverage team came out of their responsibilities, out of their gaps. And Newman, that was a walk in the park.
The 5th punt return for a touchdown for Kansas State this year. The 2nd for Terrence Newman. And the extra point up and good from Joe Ream. Well, that didn't take long. The red-hot Kansas State Wildcats score the first time they handle the ball today. Well, the punt return by Terrence Newman for a touchdown, the 12th touchdown for Bill Snyder's defense or special teams this season. That's the most in the nation. Jared Bright kicks off. Shadanya Mitchell again struggling against this terrific kickoff coverage. And again, Missouri will begin in poor field position at the 17-yard line. Maurice Thurman made the tackle. Here's the Kansas State defense. Brought to you by AT&T Wireless. Up front, Andrew Shaw, Tank Reese, Corey White, and Henry Bryant. Terrific linebackers, the three nasty Texans. Brian Hickman, along with Terry Pierce and Josh Buell. Jordan Walker, Washington, and Newman, and an excellent secondary. After the play fake, Smith looking deep, and it is caught by Sean Coffey. He comes in 4 wide receiver sets, and he's a big target for a play like that. 6'6", 220 pounds. First completion of the day for Smith, and a big one, a 28-yard gain.
And the Tigers going with a game plan of moving the pocket. They want to change their launch points. A nice fake to set up this play in the backfield. And Coffey getting his first start today, starting for Marcus James. Coming across on a deep route and does a great job of extending, keeping his hands away, catching the ball away from his body.
From the 44, Zach Abram out to the 47-yard line, a gain of 3 for the junior from Lake St. Louis, Missouri, coming off a terrific game last week against Texas A&M. Missouri won in double overtime down in College Station to keep their bowl hopes alive, and Abram in the second overtime got them 24 of their 25 yards rushing. Smith carried in from the 1 to give them the winning touchdown in the second extra session. Abram had 126 yards for the game against A&M, his season high. Smith zips one again for Coffey. And the catch made. Now they're waving it off. Incomplete. 2 officials ran in to spot the ball, but a third said no catch for Coffey. Bobby Walker again in coverage.
And if you're going to beat the number 10 team in the country, you're going to have to make these plays.
Good call.
Yeah, it is a good call, and that was not a catch. And a beautiful ball from Smith in the pocket. And that's the type of passing game that Missouri's going to need out of their quarterback to have a chance to win the day.
Coach Pinkel says he's not surprised that Smith has blossomed into a star. He's just surprised that it's happened this quickly. 4-man rush, well defended. And the long throw just over the head of Justin Gage. Terrence Newman in coverage. They're 2 of the best players in the country at their respective positions. And there's an injury on the play. A Missouri player down back at the 39-yard line. It's J.D. McCoy, who alternates at tight end with Ben Fredrickson. As they tend to him, let's check in with John Saunders in Times Square Stadium.
Sean, USC and UCLA each have a chance to win the Pac-10. They need some help, though. Carson Palmer going deep here, 34 yards to Kareem Kelly. He hauls it in for the touchdown, and the Trojans are on the board first, leading 7-0. Back to you.
And we have a UCLA graduate who will be watching that very carefully all day, standing next to me. You have any predictions for your alma mater today, Mr. Norrie?
Well, before the prediction, I got to take care of my business first here. I mean, we're doing Missouri, Kansas State, but we'll keep an eye on it from time to time. No, I think that USC is one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country where they're playing right now. I think UCLA really has their hands full, and I think if well,
give me the top 2 or 3, because you already said, Kansas State, Miami, or Ohio State doesn't want to play them. Now you have USC up there. You can only have 3 or 4 teams in your top 3 or 4.
Well, it looks like Miami's going to be playing Ohio State, but I think Kansas State and USC are 2 of the top 5 teams in the country the way they're playing down the stretch here in November.
Here's Goschler to punt again. His first one was returned 71 yards by Terrence Newman. This time he calls for a fair catch. He had plenty of room. Maybe he's still tired. A 44-yard punt and no return. K-State on offense for the first time, already leading 7-0. ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By Pacific Life, annuities, insurance, and investments rely on the strength of Pacific Life. By Circuit City, we know how you feel, and by AT&T Wireless. AT&T Wireless brings you M-Life. Darren Sproles on the first play from scrimmage for Kansas State. He's tackled by Jason Simpson after a gain of 4 to the 14. The AT&T Wireless starting lineup on offense. L. Roberson, junior from Baytown, Texas. We'll talk about coming off a big game. Certainly that's the case for Roberson. Last week against Nebraska, career best 228 yards rushing. He scored 3 touchdowns. Included in that game a 91-yard touchdown run, the longest run for a touchdown by a K-State player since 1948. The pass incomplete and almost intercepted through the hands of James Terry, and Michael Harden made a diving attempt but couldn't come up with the pickoff. Darren Sproles with Travis Wilson leading the way. Thomas Hill, the tight end, Taco Wallace, and James Terry, their 2 leading receivers. Up front, Thomas Barnett makes his 42nd consecutive start. A very good line with Lecky, Washington, Johnson, and Miller. We'll also see Ben Ridley and Draylon Burks substituting in along the O-line today. 3rd down and 6. And the crowd trying to help Mizzou. Roberson to the far side. It is caught. And will it be a first down? Yes, it will. Just across the 20. James Terry with his 20th catch of the season. A.J. Kincaid had the coverage.
When the Kansas State coaches talk about the big difference over last year with this offense, it's the passing of L. Roberson. I mean, he's really come of age, both on the field and off the field. They don't like to throw the ball much, but when they do, it's an effective passing game. A nice job using the body to screen the football from the defender.
Back to the run with the diminutive Sproles. He stopped at the line of scrimmage, perhaps a half yard. Marcus King and Sean Doyle led the defense, and here's John Saunders at Times Square Stadium.
All right, it's a huge day in college football for this guy, Larry Johnson. He has a chance to become the 9th player to get to 2,000 yards rushing in one season. He already has 77 yards on 5 carries, 11 on that touchdown. They lead 7-0.
He's one of the 8 semifinalists for the Doak Walker Award, which goes to the nation's best running back. And a big weekend for all of the Doak Walker candidates who are in action. Here comes a blitz. Time for Roberson. Now he throws on the move. It's caught for another first down out at the 33-yard line. Again, it's James Terry. Michael Harden had the coverage. A gain of 12 for K-State. The defense for Missouri. Up front, their best player is Keith Wright. 23 tackles for loss to lead the conference. Bynum, Mosley, and Mills, the other starters. The linebackers are Doyle with Sweat and Simpson, who plays the whip position. And in the secondary, the corners are Kincaid and Harden. And the rover, Taurus Ferguson with Marcus King, the free safety. They've been a little bit suspect this year in pass defense. K-State predominantly a running team, but taking advantage of the weakness of the defense of Missouri by passing more than you would expect here early. A keeper by Roberson out to the 37-yard line. Tia Ellison made the tackle for Missouri.
Yeah, when you talk about suspect, Sean, they've been a little bit more than just suspect at times on defense. They've given up over 575 yards of total offense 4 games over the course of the season, but they turned things around last week against A&M, held the Aggies to only 36 yards rushing on 31 carries.
5 minutes played, 7-0 K-State. A big hole for Sproles, and he's across the 50-yard line to the Missouri 49. Sean Doyle made the tackle. A gain of 14 for Sproles. He rushed for a career-high 159 against Nebraska last week. He is on a string of 7 straight 100-yard rushing games. And how about the numbers for the Kansas State offense? 4th of the nation in rushing and 2nd in scoring, and just a fraction of a point below Boise State.
Yeah, and you combine that efficiency on both sides of the football with what they're doing in the special teams. We've already seen a punt return for a touchdown.
Sproles belted down behind the line of scrimmage by Antoine Bynum. the senior from St. Louis. Another terrific player up front. He has 9 sacks this season. With 2 more, he'd tie Justin Smith's single-season Missouri record.
Now this Tiger defense has got to try to take care of the Kansas State running game first. And the way you do that is you use numbers. You get 8, 9 men up on the line of scrimmage. You have to take some chances with L. Roberson throwing the football, take some chances of giving up some big plays, and also take a few risks blitzing in rundowns.
2nd and 11, and a flag thrown before the snap. The umpire threw it right in the middle of the offensive line to have some movement. Generally, when they stop it, it's against the offense.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense, be a 5-yard penalty, and remain 2nd down.
Bill Snyder's team looking for its 10th win of the season. He said that's not really a meaningful milestone, except for the fact that they're coming off a 6-6 year last year after they lost in the bowl game to Syracuse. For them, that was a little bit of a down year. To get back into double digits and wins would be a big step back in the right direction for this program that's made a habit in recent years of winning in double digits. The screen to Sproles. Nice cutback. 1st down and more. And a late flag thrown right where the tackle was made. Jason Simpson made the tackle. When we talk about Sproles being small, they listed him at 5'7". He's probably closer to 5'6". But he is very strong. Bench press is close to 400 pounds. Runs very hard. Low center of gravity. Plays with his pads low, which coaches love. And that's a 28-yard gain if it stands.
I walked by him in the hotel this morning. You can't believe this kid even plays football. 5'7", 170 pounds. Looks like this play's going to come back. Take a look from the end zone. But keep an eye as they set up the screen pass out to the right side. Keep an eye at the change of direction talents in number 43. I mean, that cut, a bit reminiscent of a young Barry Sanders at Oklahoma State. He can start and stop on a dime. Great lateral ability running the football.
The penalty walked off from the spot of the hold, so the ball moved back to the 41-yard line of Missouri, and it'll be 2nd down and short. 2nd and 2. And the handoff to Sproles. Through a nice hole and a 1st down. He got chopped down at the 32-yard line by A.J. Kincaid. Next Saturday, what a lineup. Thanksgiving weekend college football at 1 Eastern. Many of you will see Ken Dorsey lead undefeated Miami against Syracuse. Some will see West Virginia at Pitt. Then at 8 Eastern, number 8 Notre Dame against number 7 USC. Others get Florida and Florida State. That's next Saturday on ABC Sports, the class of college football. Wildcats on the move, an impressive drive. Sproles again. Bounces off tacklers. Terrific run, weaving his way through traffic to the 17-yard line. 16 more on the ground for Sproles. He's well on his way to another 100-yard rushing game.
Now, he may only pack 170 pounds, but he has great pad level, and he can get lost in between behind those big offensive linemen. Very tough to bring him down one-on-one. I mean, you've got to make a tackle low on his body, and it's tough getting underneath that pad level when he goes 5'7".
And that's 41 yards today now for Sproles, giving him 1,273. And he surpasses by 10 yards the single-season school rushing record set by Josh Scobie last year. Timeout called by Kansas State. Midway through the 1st quarter, the Wildcats lead 7-0, and they're on the move, looking for more. Out of the timeout, the 12th play of the drive upcoming for Kansas State. They started at their own 10. They're at the Missouri 17. He leads 7-0 on a punt return for a touchdown by Terrence Newman. Sproles couldn't find the hole. Stutter stepped and got taken down by Antoine Bynum. It'll be 2nd down and 9. We remind you again next Saturday the terrific lineup. Number 1 Miami against Syracuse, some see West Virginia and Pittsburgh. And then at 8 o'clock in prime time, Notre Dame and USC. Some of the country will get the Battle of Florida, Florida, and Florida State. Great lineup Saturday on ABC Sports, the class of college football. Sproles spun around and then pulled back from the 15-yard line by C.J. Mosley. A redshirt freshman from Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, who's come on lately and done a terrific job for this defense, according to their coordinator, Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, this is a super play by Mosley. And watch, he'll grab just a piece of the jersey from behind, and that's a lot of strength in those mitts to bring down Sproles, the way he hits a crease at the line of scrimmage.
C.J. Mosley, Calvin Michael Mosley Jr., his dad, Calvin Sr., is in the U.S. Army. 3rd down, the crowd roars. Roberson on a rollout. Throws it to the corner of the end zone, way too high. Looking for Taco Wallace. Michael Harden and Marcus King had double coverage. And Bill Snyder sends the field goal team on. And they've had an up and down season with their kickers. Here's Joe Ream, who has brought some stability lately, 8 out of 10 in field goals, although he has missed 5 PATs out of 49. Mike Wilson is the snapper. Travis Brown the holder. A 32-yard try from the left hash mark. And it is good right down the middle. Ream now 9 for 9 this year inside 40 yards. 10-0. Kansas State leads here in the first quarter. Let's check in with John Saunders in Times Square Stadium.
Well, you got some quick scoring in your game, Sean, but not like this one. This is Carson Palmer again, back to pass. He runs out of a pile and takes off. Gets it down to about the 1-yard line, which would set up a Justin Fargas touchdown run. And USC has a 21-0 lead 10 minutes into the game.
Well, how do you feel? You predicted a big day for USC, but as an alum of UCLA, would you rather be right about the prediction, or would you rather see your old alma mater be
Sean,
victorious?
We're paid to be unbiased up here.
Yes.
But that game's looking a lot like the game last year, the 27-zip shutout that the Trojans laid on the Bruins. And you know, Carson Palmer's finally delivering on that promise. Right? And after that freshman, sophomore year when he got injured up at Oregon, a lot of people thought it would come sooner.
An impressive scoring drive. They took more than 7 minutes off the clock. The only disappointment for K-State, it resulted in a field goal and not a touchdown. So here's Jared Bright. He was also pitched for the K-State baseball team. Drives it down to the goal line. Taken there by Sherdanya Mitchell. And again, the kickoff coverage outstanding by K-State. They stopped Mitchell at the 15-yard line. Led by Jerry McLeod, the reserve defensive back. They help from Marcus Patton.
Now let's take a look at the Dodge defensive playbook. And we talked about Missouri having to make big plays on defense to stop this number 2 rated in the country offense. They're going to need plays like this from Mosley. Look at him slant to the left side and then make a heroic play getting a piece of the jersey on Sproles. And those are the type of plays the front four is going to have to make to even have a chance to stay with the Wildcats in this football game.
Incomplete pass. Gage was out of bounds. He caught it, and a flag thrown near Zach Abram, who might have been guilty of holding, and he was, as Smith was on the rollout. And we'll see if they elect to take the penalty.
Holding on the offense. Be half the distance to the goal. Replay it first down.
They will. Justin Gage's numbers. Not only does he lead Big 12 receivers this year, but that's a school record for receptions in one season, surpassing the 75 Victor Bailey had back in 1992. He's Missouri's all-time leader in career receptions as well, with 198. First and 17. And the handoff to Abram, and he's dropped for a loss by Andrew Shaw. The junior from Webb City, Missouri, back at his home state. Out of Webb City High School, the same school that produced Grant Wistrom, who started in Nebraska and has gone on to the NFL with the Rams.
So he's just having a lights-out season. And big number 98 comes into this game with 14 tackles behind the line of scrimmage and one of the great defensive end penetrators that you'll see in college football this season.
And they continue with the conservative approach with very poor field position and very little room for Abram as he ran into Terry Pierce. The middle linebacker, the junior from Fort Worth, Texas. All three starting linebackers are Texans. Hickman and Buell as well from Texas.
Probably as good a linebacker unit as you'll see across the country. And Gary Pinkel in a very delicate situation here early. A nice stop by his defense, forcing the field goal on the last possession. But you don't want to give up a turnover and let Kansas State go and run away and hide on you.
Smith on the run gets out to the 9, gets him some breathing room, and he also becomes the second quarterback now in Division 1A history to have 2,000 yards plus passing and 1,000 yards rushing in the same season. Woody Dantzler did it for Clemson last year. So congratulations to Smith, now up to 1,003 yards rushing with that game.
And a lot of people that thought Woody Dantzler should have received a lot more serious consideration a year ago for the Heisman Trophy. What a season he had last year.
Goschler not as good a punt this time. Newman trying to get outside and cannot turn the corner. He's driven out of bounds along the near sideline, and a flag thrown where the tackle was made. James Kinney delivered the hit. 35-yard punt, 2-yard return. Crowd groaning because they are anticipating that's a late hit out of bounds call. Didn't look like it from here. Well, that is the call.
And they take a look as Newman heads for the sideline, and it looks like that hit takes place inbounds.
Now, that's a terrible call. Well, he led with the helmet. That's probably what it's about.
Oh,
it's certainly not out of bounds.
I mean, that's a great form tackle. You're taught to get your helmet in front. I mean, you're going to have some helmet-to-helmet contact in football. You know, whether it's a college or the pro level. I thought that was a very solid special teams play, and that's a poor call. I mean, if anything, he lays his helmet on the shoulder pad first there.
Sproles spurts through another hole down to the 19-yard line. ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Circuit City. We know how you feel. That's why we're here. Circuit City, we're with you. And by AT&T Wireless. AT&T brings you M-Life, your mobile life made better. Kansas State dominating every opponent lately, and certainly owning this first quarter today here in Columbia. 2nd and 3 from the Missouri 19. The option to the right. Roberson keeps it and is stopped at the line of scrimmage by Keith Wright, the senior from Sacramento, their best defensive lineman. He had 4 tackles for a loss against Texas A&M last week in their upset win, as Missouri held A&M to just 36 yards rushing 1 week after the Aggies upset Oklahoma.
And Missouri employs a 4-4 defensive front, an 8-man front, and Kansas State operating against an 8-man front doesn't bother them. They go with the option play. They don't have a problem pounding you inside. This team has success no matter what defensive structure you show.
On 3rd and 3, the pitch to Sproles, and he stops short of the first down. Brought down right at the line of scrimmage by A.J. Kincaid, the cornerback, the redshirt freshman from St. Louis, who made his first career start last week at A&M and had 5 tackles in the ballgame.
And when you go up against a great option attack like Kansas State's, your cornerbacks have to be great tacklers. And that's a big-time play by A.J. Kincaid, coming up and forcing and making a tackle in the open field against a great tailback.
There's Joe Ream, who connected from 32 yards moments ago. This is a 37-yard try from the other side. He connected from the left hash mark. This is from the right. And he pulled it wide left. Well, even though Kansas State has had a dramatic edge in play here in the first quarter, David, if you're a Missouri fan, you have to feel pretty good about the fact it's just 10-0.
Yeah, they come up with a stop on this possession. They came up with a forced field goal try that was good on the last possession, and Gary Pinkel has managed to get his troops to maintain touch and feel with this Kansas State team. And if one thing Missouri's proven on offense this year is they've been able to come back against the big boys. Big comebacks against Colorado, Nebraska, Iowa State, so they're still in this football game.
One of the 4 wide receivers set, they hand it off to the backup tailback, T.J. Leon, and a good gain of 5 out to the 25. Tomorrow, Annika Sorenstam, Kari Webb, and Sayri Pak head a field of the LPGA's top 30 money winners. Don't miss final round coverage of the ADT Championship tomorrow at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, right here on ABC Sports. After the second round, Annika had a 1-shot lead. Brad Smith kept it, got a half a yard. He was not heavily recruited out of Cheney High School in Youngstown, Ohio. Matter of fact, this Missouri coaching staff at the time was at Toledo, and they were recruiting Brad Smith to come play for Toledo. Then when the staff moved here, they continued to recruit him to come to Missouri. He said his only other options at the Division I level were Bowling Green and Youngstown State. He was not heavily recruited. They're 0 for 3 on third down, and it's batted down by Terrence Newman. Intended for Darius Outlaw.
And that's a super break on the football by Newman. And when you talk to the Kansas State defensive coaches, they talk about Newman as a first-round pick. You know, the receiver shows in the flat, appears he's open, and then the break on the ball by number 4. And Brad Smith probably lucky to get that one back.
Newman already 1 punt return for a touchdown. He has scored on a pass reception this season, on 2 punt returns, on a kickoff return for a touchdown. He returned a blocked extra point for a score against USC. He scored just about every way imaginable. Nice punt. Goschler, and what a bounce he got. It looked like it would go out of bounds at the 25. It bounced back to the left and rolled dead at the 15-yard line. A 60-yard punt. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You're watching college football on ABC Sports Championship Television.
Kansas State begins the second quarter with the ball. They've dominated their opponents in the second quarter this year. They've outscored their opponents in every quarter. But by far their biggest advantage has come in second quarters this year. They start this possession from their own 15. Sproles stopped after a 1-yard gain. Flag down at the line of scrimmage. Keith Wright with another tackle.
This Kansas State offense is so multiple in terms of their sets and formations and the way their offensive coordinator Ron Hudson can attack teams. Going to be moved back 5 yards here, but put tremendous strain on the Nebraska defense a week ago.
At the conclusion of today's game, we will select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Missouri took the penalty, so it'll be 1st and 15 from the 10-yard line. Sproles again, tripped up just shy of the 15-yard line. Well, last week against Nebraska in the big win for K-State, they did not attempt a pass until nearly midway through the second quarter. As Ron Hudson said, well, when you're running as we were, why bother to pass? And they're capable of that, where they can just hand it off and run on every down, and you know it's coming, and you still can't stop
What's so tough is you also have Roberson at the quarterback position running the option. You can leave a man unblocked, or you can run Roberson on planned runs where you pick up an extra blocker.
Here's Sproles again. They're ready for him that time, and Antoine Bynum threw him down. Good penetration. Henry Sweat, the linebacker, also up there pressuring the play. And it'll be 3rd down and long, 3rd and about 11.
And Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator for Missouri, said we're going to have to throw everything at him. Numbers, blitzes, take risks. We've got to take away the running game. And the last thing a defensive coordinator wants to see is an offense dominate and control on the ground throughout an afternoon, and Missouri pulling out all the stops.
On 3rd down and 11, a screen, and Sproles has a lot of running room. And a 1st down. Out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Torres Ferguson chased him out.
We talk about the ability to start and stop. How about stop and start? This swings the ball outside, the reverse spin move to the outside, and then just a race for the chains. Sproles is not only a dangerous running back carrying the football, but he's very dangerous coming out of pass protection and getting out and forcing things in the passing game.
And they give it to the fullback. Just the 16th carry of the season for Travis Wilson, the junior from Howell, Michigan, who transferred from Michigan State and sat out last season. He was tackled by James Kinney. Travis made such an impression on his teammates during the season last year that he sat out. He was voted a captain for this year, but unfortunately he got into some difficulty off the field, in trouble with the law, and had his captaincy stripped and had to apologize to his teammates. Very difficult time for him. Taco Wallace, the reception. Good for a 1st down for K-State. Marcus King and Michael Harden made the tackle. The Wildcats are on the move again, 1st and 10 out at the 41-yard line.
This K-State offense had its conception with Michael Bishop and Ron Hudson and Bill Snyder, Taylor making that offense to Bishop's talents, and Bishop could throw the football. Roberson showing he can throw the football as well this year, and this afternoon he's come out hot.
Pass incomplete. The quick throw from Roberson in front of Taco Wallace. Roberson thought that Wallace was going to be heading up the field, and he was stationary waiting for the pass.
That was the first misfire of the day for Roberson, but I've been impressed with his footwork and also his accuracy from the pocket.
2nd and 10.
Second and 10. On the rollout, diving attempt made by Wallace, incomplete pass. Taco almost came up with it. We asked Doug Dull, the SID at Kansas State, how he got the nickname Taco. He says Taco won't tell anybody how he got the nickname. His real name is Lawrence.
Ball hits the ground. Good call by the officials on the sideline. And a lot of people watching this football game may say, hey, how can Roberson miss that ball that badly to the outside and low? And got the cornerback beat, but a lot of times you have linebackers underneath, and Roberson had to throw that ball wide of the outside linebacker.
Derek Evans in and an extra wide receiver set, another screen, and Sproles couldn't catch it. And that one looked promising if he had caught it. You would think in these long yardage situations now, Missouri might be a little more alert to the screen, since we've seen it a couple of times already.
As a quarterback, you have to be accurate. You have to put a handle on the football on screen passes. And it becomes a little bit more difficult when you're throwing to a 5'7" tailback. It's one of the rare situations where I think Sproles' height hurts him a little bit. Not quite as big a target coming out of the backfield in the pass game.
Travis Brown, the punt. They came after a very high spiraling kick. Oh my goodness. James called for a fair catch. There wasn't a white shirt within 10 yards of him. A 50-yard punt. Missouri will take over at the 10-yard line.
taking a look at that last punt return opportunity. Look at Marcus James right here. And look at all the room he's going to have. I mean, that's a big chasm right there, 15, 20 yards. You run the ball back, you got to take a shot there.
There's Zach Abram trying to get outside. And he's down at the 14-yard line, a gain of 4 for Abram, who's been playing with a partially torn ligament in his left knee. Coach Pinkel compares him to Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, Abram's Gary Pinkel type back. You won't see him moving east-west much. Definitely a north-south runner, packs a punch. And you got to be careful of your safety coming up to hit Zach Abram, because he's liable to deliver a blow on you.
Kansas State has 7 first downs. Missouri just 1. Looking for its second. The pass too long for Darius Outlaw. A converted quarterback made a very nice adjustment to wide receiver. 44 catches for the season for Outlaw. Now it's time for the Aflac trivia question. We want to know how many states have more NFL franchises than Division 1A football programs.
I have no earthly idea on that one, Sean. Don't even ask.
3rd down. Missouri 0 for 4 on 3rd downs today. On the rollout, the catch made. And where will they mark the ball? They will mark it beyond the 20, of 1st down for Sean Coffey. He was banged out of bounds by Randy Jordan.
Sean Coffey has played a pretty prominent role in this football game. Gets his start over Marcus James at the Z. A big target, about 6'6". And that's a nice little participation route on the outside. Fakes the curl to the inside, slides outside, gives his quarterback Brad Smith a nice picture to throw to for the 1st down.
On the delay, Abram cut it inside. And that's a gain of 1. Tackled by Josh Buell, their leading tackler for the year. He had 125 entering today's game. Sean McDonough, David Norrie at Faurot Field in Columbia, Missouri, on a spectacular afternoon here in late November. 54 degrees at kickoff.
What a day.
Number 10, Kansas State, looking for its 10th win of the year. And 5th in a row, Missouri trying for its 6th win of the year to get to 6-6. They would become bowl eligible with an upset win today. Smith takes off and is tripped up short of the 1st down at the 28. And he gotten away from Brian Hickman. He had a lot more running room ahead of him.
Now this is what Brad Smith looks for. At Missouri, this is a called pass play, but when he catches a defense in man-to-man coverage, if he can break that front 4, that defensive pass rush, there's a lot of green to operate. And that was just a terrific play by Brian Hickman, and Hickman's been making those plays all year long for the Wildcats from his linebacking position.
Smith in trouble and could not get away. He is swung down by Henry Bryant. Crowd thought that was a little bit too much. Brian Hickman also got through the line of scrimmage, and Mizzou will be forced to punt again.
That came awfully close to being one of those situations where you pick the quarterback up off his feet and throw him to the ground. I mean, if there's going to be a 15-yarder called in this game so far, it should have been right there.
In the NFL, I think there's no question that would have been flagged. There's Todd Goschler, the junior from San Diego, California, on the punt. Terrence Newman back forward. He's looking into the sun. Low line drive kick. Newman from the 29. Tripped up for a loss on the return. Flag down. Michael Harden made the nice tackle. A 43-yard punt. A loss of 4 yards on the return.
And that flag
down
early.
the 44-yard line.
Flag was thrown before the catch was made on the punt return.
for a hold against K-State.
Should take him back 10 yards from the spot of the final spot on the play.
Could be a 10-yard penalty. First down.
Timeout here in Columbia. Kansas State leads 10-0. ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light, cold down easy. And by Aflac, ask about it at work. Quarterback draw, Roberson outside with running room. And out of bounds with a first down at the 37-yard line. Michael Harden chased him out, but that's a 21-yard gain on the run for the junior from Baytown, Texas, L. Roberson.
When you see a single back set with Kansas State, that means one thing: look out for the quarterback running the football. This is just a planned counter play. They'll go with an ISO play with the quarterback running, option out of one back. But as a defense, you better be alert when they go to single back, because that means Roberson is going to be running the football.
The fullback, Victor Mann. That surprised the Tiger defense. First down out to the 50-yard line, a gain of 13, longest of the season for Mann. Here's John Saunders at Times Square Stadium.
Well, it's been a struggling year for Michigan State, and things getting worse today against Penn State. Bryant Johnson fields the punt at his 19 and then is not even touched. Nobody from the Spartans gets even close as he goes 81 yards for the touchdown. Penn State up 21-0.
On their way to their 9th victory of the season. They fake the option, then Roberson faded back. He was flushed, throws it up for grabs, and it is intercepted by R.J. Jones.
Well, L. Roberson had Terry open for 20 yards, but was not able to get the ball off from the pocket, and what a recovery in the secondary. I mean, Roberson faces the pressure, and he had to escape, and that extra time did not allow him to throw the ball on time. That was a touchdown for Kansas State.
Team high 4th interception of the year for Jones. The other 3 were all in the same game against Troy State. That tied the Missouri and Big 12 conference records for interceptions in one game. Abram very nearly tackled in the end zone for a safety. A loss of 3 yards back to the 1. Thomas Houchin and Brian Hickman. Houchin, number 94, backup defensive end. He plays a lot. Junior from Sanger, Texas. Out of Sanger High School, where he earned 19 letters in high school. 3 in football, 4 each in track, basketball, and golf. 3 in baseball, 1 in powerlifting. Out of the end zone, Smith throws, caught, lunging for the marker, Sean Coffey, but they're going to mark him out back at the 10-yard line, short of the first down by 4 yards. Coffey had only 9 catches for the season, and 6 of those were against Troy State in mop-up duty before today, but he's been a regular target today.
Another slide route to the outside, and he's looked special this afternoon. I mean, just using that big frame to stretch out for the first down, and that's about the only option that Kansas State hasn't had an answer for on defense.
3rd catch of the day for Coffey. Smith weaving through traffic, did not appear to get to the first down. Needed the 14. They'll mark him at the 13. Rashad Washington with the hit. And Missouri will be forced to punt with 7:13 left in the half, trailing 10-0.
Bob Elliott, the defensive coordinator for Kansas State, has come out with a great defensive game plan, and you can look at that drive chart. It's very evident. And what he's done is he has taken Brad Smith out of the football game in terms of Brad Smith's feet and his ability to pick up yards down the field. And as a result, Missouri's been pretty one-dimensional, and when they're one-dimensional, their passing game suffers as well.
Forcing them to punt for the 6th time. Another line drive kick taken by Newman at the 46. And he's down at the Missouri 43, tackled by Brandon Smith, the 41-yard punt. Earlier we asked you the Affleck trivia question, how many states have more NFL franchises than the Division I-A football schools? The answer, just one. Missouri, with the Chiefs and the Rams. The University of Missouri, the only Division I-A football program in this state. Victor Mann on first down for K-State, down to the 40, a gain of 3. When we spoke with Gary Pinkel about this Missouri program and why he decided to come here when he was a very hot coach after 10 successful seasons at Toledo, that's one of the things he talked about. It's the only Division I-A school in the state, and there's a lot of talent in the state if you can get them to stay here. He talked about the upgrade in facilities. They put about $50 million into their football facilities the last few years. Talked about the conference being one of the best. Talked about the academic reputation of this school. And he felt there wasn't any reason why they could not be a winner here. There's Roberson carrying for a first down to the 32-yard line. Jason Simpson made the tackle. Let's check in with John Saunders in Times Square Stadium.
Sean, take a look at this great play by Michael Boulware. NC State faking the field goal. Chris Young fumbles it. Boulware picks it up with one hand while it's wobbling around. Never breaks stride. Takes it 84 yards for the touchdown. Florida State up 7-3.
NC State trying to stop the bleeding after that 9-0 start. 3 straight losses. Sproles, the ball carrier, inside the 30 to the 28. A gain of 4. Sean Doyle made the tackle for Missouri. We're talking about the improvement of this Missouri program. They won 4 last year in Pinkel's first year. They've won 5, but really the difference to those who follow it closely is night and day. They've had a lot of close calls this year against ranked teams. They were ahead in the second half against Colorado, Oklahoma, and Iowa State, and wound up losing all 3 games. It might be a much different season for them had they managed to hang on to even 1 or 2 of those. Victor Mann driven back by Sean Doyle and James Kinney.
Yeah, against Oklahoma and Colorado, they had leads in the 4th quarter. And Gary Pinkel, we talked about his background. He played under Don James at Kent State in the early 70s. He's a co-captain with Jack Lambert on that Kent State team. And 1984 to 1990, coached no less than 5 NFL quarterbacks that went on from the University of Washington, including Mark Brunell and Hugh Millen, Chris Chandler. He was a great quarterback coach and offensive coordinator before he became a head coach.
On the option, Roberson stayed in bounds and picked up the first down. Finally went out after he passed the marker at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, El Roberson has such a nice feel for the option. He's got an offensive line getting pushed back in the backfield, tapers back, and then what a tightrope act to pick up the first down just beyond the chains.
And they actually shortchanged him by a couple of yards. They spotted him out at the 20. It looked like he made it past the 20 without going out of bounds. Nevertheless, 38 yards rushing for the day for Roberson on 5 carries. First and 10, Wildcats leading 10-0. Sproles lost the football and got it back at the 12-yard line. These 2 teams are both excellent in turnover ratio. Both are plus 15 for the year. Time for the Pacific Life game summary. The first score of the game, Terrence Newman, the punt return, untouched, 71 yards. That made it 7-0 with the extra point. A field goal made it 10-0. K-State was looking for more when R.J. Jones intercepted a pass at the 4. There's Sproles, touchdown! A 12-yard run for Darren Sproles. And there's an injured Tiger on the play. A.J. Kincaid, their starting cornerback, redshirt freshman, down on the field.
And Kincaid got his first start last week. Pretty impressive, redshirt freshman, but look at the work up front. And Missouri's defense starting to spend a lot of time on the field here in the first half. They're getting not much help from their offense. And it's only a matter of time against Kansas State. You have got to move the ball against this K-State defense and give your own defense some time on the sideline. And it's getting to be danger time for Gary Pinkel and Missouri here late in the second quarter.
16th rushing touchdown of the season for Sproles. Pinkel concerned about the score and about A.J. Kincaid. Friday, warm up the leftovers. Join ABC Sports for a great college football doubleheader. The action kicks off at noon. Texas A&M battling Texas. Then at 3:30, number 17 Colorado takes on Nebraska. Friday on ABC Sports, the class of college football. Kincaid up on his feet and being helped to the sideline. He was one of the top recruits in Gary Pinkel's first recruiting class here a couple of years ago. Special teams player at the beginning of the year, but with improvement has become a starter, as David said. There he is in the crowd.
Taking a look inside there, and this is going to be an ugly one. Yeah, he gets rolled up right here. Ooh, that did not look good. Nice to see Kincaid at least walking off the field with moderate help there.
Joe Ream adds the extra point. A 7-play, 43-yard drive, all of it on the ground, and the Wildcats lead 17-0. All Wildcats here in the first half. K-State leading 17-0. They've outgained Missouri 205-69. Aaron Sproles with the last touchdown put Coach Pinkel's team down by 17. Jared Bright kicks it off, and a good one through the back of the end zone. So Missouri, as has been the case throughout the half, begins with very poor starting field position. They've started at their own 17 twice, their own 15, the 20, the 10, the 4, and now the 20 again.
Yeah, if there's a positive for Gary Pinkel at this point, it's the fact that he's come back. His team has come back from double-digit deficits against three pretty darn good football teams: Colorado, Iowa State, and Nebraska. And they're going to need another comeback today. I mean, this Kansas State team is rolling, and they're rolling in all three facets of their football team: defense, offense, special teams. And we're seeing it this afternoon.
Brad Smith trying to escape, and then runs out of bounds near the 27-yard line. We'll mark him out at the 26 for a gain of 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4.
I mean, you look at this kid and as a redshirt freshman, 2,000 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. Bob Stoops, his Oklahoma Sooners lined up against Brad Smith. And this Missouri team had Oklahoma on the ropes, and at the time the Sooners were ranked number 3, and Bob Stoops after the game said, hey, that number 16 made us look very average.
He rushed for 213 yards himself. Almost intercepted was that pass. Thrown out in the flat. Bobby Walker eyeing the interception and the return for the touchdown. He's already brought 3 back for touchdowns this season.
Yeah, against Iowa State, Walker had 2 touchdowns on interceptions within 23 seconds of each other. The first one was a little bit sketchy. Didn't look like he scored, but did receive credit for it, and that's really something. 2 touchdowns in less than 30 seconds.
And there's an interception by Newman. His 5th of the year, 10th of his career. And a rare turnover for Missouri. They started the day with the fewest turnovers committed in the country. And they'll add 1 to the total.
And again, a nice break on the ball. Newman is not only a great athlete, great cover guy, but great recognition. And he had that play diagnosed very early. And at one point in the season, Newman was leading this team in interceptions. Walker took the lead, and now they're both tied. 5 interceptions apiece for this Wildcat defense.
It was the 12th turnover of of the season for Missouri, now tied for the lowest turnover total in the nation. Toledo, West Virginia, Wisconsin. Movement before the snap.
False start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain first down.
Coming up on the Capital One Halftime Show, John Saunders and Terry Bowden bring you all the scores and highlights from college football today. First, the big game of the day seen earlier here on ABC Sports. Ohio State defeating Michigan 14-9. A terrific game as usual between those two great rivals. And as a result, Ohio State will be on the way to the Fiesta Bowl.
Great to see a Big Ten finally get into that championship game.
The whistle stops the play. Well, Missouri's had dreadful field position throughout the half.
Dead ball, delay on the offense. It's a 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
K-State is starting for the third time today in Missouri territory. Here are the BCS standings entering today's action. Miami #1. They defeated Pittsburgh Thursday night. Ohio State #2. And Washington State #3. They were hoping for some help from Michigan today. Kansas State 11. The Wildcats ranked 10th in both the major polls. Again the screen, this time to James Terry. And he stopped very near the first down yardage at the 18-yard line. The screen has been a great play today for the Wildcats. Marcus King and Keith Wright made the tackle on Terry. 20 yards and a first down for the Wildcats.
When you're having this type of success running the football, the type of success the Wildcats are having, it really opens up the pass game. And that's like stealing candy from a baby right there. That's an easy completion. Terry just picking his way downfield. Kansas State with a great mix of run and pass here in the first half. And Missouri only 2 first downs, Sean. You're not going to get it done with the Kansas State offense on the field this much.
3 wide receivers, quarterback draw, Roberson for a short gain, perhaps a yard. Taurus Ferguson and Terrell Mills combining on the stop. Under 3 minutes to go now in the first half. A half dominated by Kansas State, but they've been dominating their opponents all season long. David mentioned they're first in the nation in scoring defense and second in scoring offense, and as a result they have the largest average margin per game. Their average margin of victory this year has been 35 points.
Unbelievable.
They're 7 points away from an undefeated season. A 3-point loss and a 4-point loss against Texas and Colorado. Roberson down to the 10-yard line. They lost by 3 to Texas and by 4 at Colorado. The only losses this year for number 10 Kansas State, looking for its 10th win of the year at Missouri.
This goes to show you, Sean, you got to have some luck to get into that national championship game. I mean, Miami had some luck against Florida State. Ohio State has escaped 2 or 3 times late this season, and you look at the close losses that this Kansas State team has suffered. And what a shot to be right in that football game with a little luck themselves.
On 3rd down and short, James Kinney made the tackle on Darren Sproles, who did not get the first down. And a decision now for Bill Snyder. I'm also a little surprised, David, that Missouri doesn't call a timeout here. Try to save some time to do something with the ball when they get it back. And they're already 3 scores down. You capitalize on every chance you get with the ball.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially when you got a Brad Smith at quarterback. And as we just mentioned a couple moments ago, only 2 first downs in the first half. At least you try to get some momentum rolling into the locker room with your offense. Big play here.
K-State, the best team in the league on 4th down, but not this time. Bynum with the hit, the ball came out. And it doesn't matter either way, because even if Kansas State got the ball back, they'll turn it over on downs. It was a fumble recovered by Taurus Ferguson.
This Missouri team trailed Colorado 27-7. That's a great play penetration on the inside. Antoine Bynum coming off the left end. And another big stop for Missouri. They're trailing by 17 points, but give up some points there, and it's going to be awfully tough to come back. See if Missouri can put something together on this drive.
They come out throwing now. Smith will run, and he is dropped for a loss back at the 9. Melvin Williams, senior from St. Louis.
Doesn't look like Missouri's in much of a hurry to go to clock status here, and Williams has had himself a first half. This K-State defense has done a great job of controlled rushing when Brad Smith has been in the pocket, and they have not taken their eyes off him. I think they're playing Brad Smith on the run first and then rushing the passer second, and it's been a successful approach here in the first half.
Well, they're setting up to take a knee, and Kansas State will take a 17-0 lead into the locker room at halftime, although they may make them punt. They've called the timeout. Third down upcoming. So if they want to avoid punting, Missouri has to run a play that kills 8 seconds here.
I love this. I think this is great coaching, because what's your downside? And if you muff the punt, ball can't be returned. You take a shot at blocking the punt here. Got a great return man who already has a touchdown in the first quarter.
They've blocked 7 kicks this year.
And a huge block punt for a touchdown last week against Nebraska that kept the momentum for this Kansas State team in the first half.
Well, apparently the Missouri folks didn't anticipate that Kansas State might use the timeouts and stop the clock. They just took a knee. They would have been better served running something that ran a few more seconds off the clock.
Now, one thing you don't do here is you don't put the ball in the air. So you run the football, and there's too much time on the clock to have your quarterback, even a Brad Smith, get back in the end zone and try to kill the clock running around in the end zone. I think 8 seconds is just too much time. So Missouri may just have to bite the bullet, Sean, and run a safe play here and punt the ball away. They could throw the ball deep here.
They're running a sweep. Smith just trying to stay in bounds and kill the clock. Did they get the timeout? We'll see. The clock shows all zeros. Will the officials put time back on the clock?
Put 1
Yes, they will.
on the clock. Timeout. Kansas State. That's their third and final timeout of the half.
Yeah, the other option for him there, Sean, was to maybe have Brad Smith use his feet, create some time in the pocket, and then throw the ball deep downfield and use up some of that clock with the ball in the air. And if there's still time, then you go ahead and punt the ball away. I think Brad Smith might have been able to expire the clock using the deep ball.
Well, if you're Missouri now, you shouldn't punt. You should just take the snap and run around for 1 second and take a knee. And that's the half. Why would you risk kicking it away, having it blocked or return, having a bad snap?
Well, they'll cover up with some running backs in the backfield and let Brad Smith take a step or two back, go to a knee, and that'll be that.
Coach Pinkel was ready to head to the locker room. We thought the half was over because the clock showed all zeros, and
figure he's got it.
He was alerted to the fact that there's a second left.
Home field clock operator might be helping him out there.
K-State out of timeouts. Really not an issue with 1 second left for either team. Been in our ongoing desire to keep you always informed. And that's the end of the half. Gary Pinkel trailing Bill Snyder's Wildcats 17-0 at halftime. Let's check in with John and Terry.
You're watching college football on ABC Sports Championship Television.
We're back in Columbia at halftime. 10th-ranked Kansas State with a 17-0 lead over Missouri. Sean McDonough along with David Norrie. We talked early on about how well Kansas State was playing coming into this game, and certainly they continued that, David, in the first half today.
Yeah, they did play well in the first half, and Missouri's going to have to do some things here in the second half. I think primarily get Justin Gage involved. He's got 80 catches on the year, 33 straight games with a reception. Brad Smith has got to start putting the football up down the field, and Justin Smith has to get involved if they're going to come back. The good news is Missouri's come back against some very good teams this year, so they know they have a chance here in the second half, especially at home.
One of the reasons why Justin Gage has not been involved in the offense for Missouri has been Terrence Newman, one of the best cornerbacks in the nation, certainly, and he has shown in this game today that he's a force elsewhere as well, including on special teams. The first score of the game came on a 71-yard touchdown. A punt return for Newman. That made it 7-0. Then after a field goal made it 10-0. Darren Sproles from 12 yards out. That capped the scoring. Newman concluded a terrific half for himself with an interception. We'll take a look at the Pacific Life first half stats. First downs 13-2 in favor of K-State. The total yardage 232-68. And the average field position had a lot to do with it, as Missouri just could not get started, largely because of the outstanding kickoff coverage by Kansas State. And we showed you the numbers in the second quarter. They're also dominant in the third, and that's not good news for Gary Pinkel. Could use any bit of good news. First kickoff of the day for Missouri from Michael Matheny, taken by Sproles, and he slipped down short of the 20-yard line. They'll mark him down at the 18. Not a great half for Roberson, but he didn't have to do a lot.
Bill Roberson, 6 for 12. That, hitting 50% of his balls. You go back to last year, he only hit 39%. And in the season, hitting about 53. So not a bad first half throwing the football for El Roberson. Usually gets a little bit more involved with his feet.
Sproles, who rushed for 79 yards in the first half on 16 carries. Carries out to the 21. Tackled by C.J. Mosley and Antoine Bynum. So Sproles creeping up on his 8th straight 100-yard rushing game. Which would be a school record. He already has the school record with 7 in a row.
And Sproles and Roberson, not their usual numbers. Certainly not the numbers they had last week against Nebraska, but the great field position hasn't required them to have big numbers.
Roberson took a sturdy hit short of the first down marker at the 27-yard line. James Kinney lowered the boom, the sophomore from Kankakee, Illinois, who is their team leading tackler for the season with 133. Coming in, here's a snapshot of El Roberson from Baytown, Texas, out of Lee High School, the same high school that produced Clint Sterner. Played quarterback at Arkansas, went on to the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. Third down and 1. Sproles has the first down. He drove out to the 31-yard line. Jason Simpson, a redshirt freshman from the Woodlands, Texas.
And when you have a defense like Kansas State's only giving up a little over 11 points a game, you have the luxury of being able to be a little bit more conservative, pound the ball on the ground, and it's just what offensive coordinator Ron Hudson is doing to open up the second half. And I'm sure he cracks a little smile each time they move the chains here in the second half. Time becomes a factor for Missouri.
Play action fake. Man open, far side. It's the fullback Victor Mann with a nice move to pick up the first down. Out to the 45-yard line. R.J. Jones made the tackle. It's the first catch of the season and of his career for Victor Mann, the redshirt freshman from Fort Worth.
And with a successful running game, a great fake in the backfield. That's what set up this pass play to the outside. Nice shape by the running back on the outside. Nice picture for El Roberson to throw the ball to. And once again, they move the chains.
14-yard gain. Roberson to throw again. Down the middle, man wide open. It's the tight end, Thomas Hill. First down deep into Mizzou territory at the 25-yard line. A 30-yard gain. Michael Harden made the tackle.
Kansas State gets 3 tight ends involved in their passing game, but Hill has been the starter this year, and he has been the tight end who has been able to get down the field vertically. And look at the field by the tight end, finding that void, and it was a pretty big void down the center of the football field. And a good job of the secondary from Missouri picking up that tight end on their radar screen.
Another good-looking drive for the Wildcats. Quarterback draw. Roberson into the secondary. First down to the 12-yard line. Atia Ellison made the tackle. 13 more, and Kansas State picking up yardage in big chunks on this opening drive of the second half.
And when Kansas State has success throwing the football, the running game becomes a lot more simple. And L. Roberson, I mean, he has that ability to get into the secondary and almost look like a punt return. A great ability to make people miss. And Coach Snyder knows his team has Missouri on the ropes right here.
Sproles speeds down inside the 5. Sean Doyle made the tackle. When you talk about the development of Roberson, I think Wildcat coaches and fans well aware that he's a very talented player, and he always has had a lot of talent. The coaches use the word accountability a lot in the K-State program. You have to be accountable on the field, off the field, and perhaps it came a little too easily for Roberson at the beginning. He didn't have quite the work ethic he needed to really learn the offense and get a grasp of things, and over time it was demonstrated to him that perhaps he did need to put in a bit more time. And as he has, he's become a better football player. Movement along the line. Keith Wright jumped.
You know, Sean, talking about L. Roberson, and you bring up the term accountability. It's a term that Bill Snyder uses. I think that
prior to the snap, offside with contact on the defense, be half the distance to go. The gain sufficient for a first down.
And there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that have a lot of talent, and I think many quarterbacks get to a point in their career where they transition to a spot where they know it's time to start taking care of things in practice and off the field, and that's what L. Roberson had to do, and he has just blossomed.
Ayo Saba, who's a short yardage specialist, came in but got nothing. He's a redshirt freshman from Blackwood, New Jersey, who has 7 touchdowns this year and just 30 carries. With that carry, he has 30 for the year. He scored a touchdown on each of the first 3 carries of his career. All of them from 2 yards out, 2 against Western Kentucky and 1 against Louisiana Monroe. Second and goal. 4.5-minute drive and the clock running to begin the second half. Roberson forced to pitch it. And Saba into the end zone for a touchdown. So there is his 8th touchdown of the season. Saba scoring on his 31st carry of the year. 9-play, 82-yard drive.
The option man shows quick. Roberson deals it off. Nice block on the outside by Victor Mann. And just a stroll into the end zone. How about the work of this Kansas State offensive line? I mean, the execution. Nobody calls them a dominant offensive line. I think they're dominant in terms of their execution.
Joe Ream adds the extra point.
Kick is good.
And the Wildcats pick up right where they left off in the first half. It's now 24-0 K-State. Saba's touchdown has given Kansas State a 24-0 lead. And Jared Bright kicks off. Tumbling down to the 5 to Sherdanya Mitchell. And this qualifies as outstanding field position for Missouri as finally they get a kickoff back past the 20 out to the 27 where Marcus Patton made the tackle.
Taking a look back at the touchdown. Look at this. Working as a dance team. It doesn't get any better than this. The offensive line. Look at him shape the play. I mean, that's hat on hat, jersey on jersey. And Saba, he has the easiest job right there, just walking into the end zone. Once again, a great job by Mann to sealing his defender off on the perimeter.
3 wide receivers, and Brad Smith comes out throwing and has his man, Darius Outlaw, out to the 48-yard line. And a first down. Just the third of the game for Mizzou. The Pontiac drive summary. It was not a lengthy Saturday drive for the Tigers on this beautiful countryside. 6 punts, an interception, and they lost it on downs. Ouch. Gage comes in motion. He still has not caught a pass. And the pass way over the head of Darius Outlaw. Shot Washington had the coverage with Terrence Newman. Outlaw has seen a lot of balls from Smith this year, in part because generally the opponents double Gage. And I think an example of how good he is, David, is even with a lot of double teaming, Gage has 80 catches. But that'll tell you what a good job Kansas State's done today because he hasn't caught a ball today.
It's a tribute to Outlaw, too, that there's 80 catches accounted for by Gage because Outlaw has converted from that quarterback position and warranted the attention type of season he's had.
Blitz off the corner right in the face of Smith, and he throws over the head of Gage. One-on-one coverage from Newman. Newman had the upper hand in the one-on-one battles with Gage last year out in Manhattan. Yesterday we spoke with Coach Gary Pinkel about his terrific quarterback, Brad Smith.
He's got the intangibles that really make up the quarterback. You know, the instincts, the ability to make plays under pressure, the ability to lead a team. I mean, I've been around a lot of good quarterbacks. I've never been around a guy that has so many of these and working at such a high level within him at 18 years old. And I think he's got tremendous upside.
And did he step out of bounds as he threw that pass? The folks on the K-State sideline saying he did. The official saying no, he did not. It's just an incomplete pass. Terry Pierce in pursuit forced the throw.
I think you saw this a little more clearly than the officials did.
Well, he was in.
Maybe not. They're right on top of that. Beg your pardon. Brad Smith keeps that right foot in bounds, throws the ball away, saves his punting team some yardage. Nonetheless, Kansas State's going to get the ball back once again.
Oshler, the star of the half for Missouri, punted 6 times in the first half for a 45-yard average. Of course, one of those was returned by Newman for a touchdown. Another terrific punt with no return. It bounces out of bounds at the 11. 42-yard punt and no return. ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Pontiac, fuel for the soul. By Pepsi Blue, a fusion of berries with a splash of cola. It's a blue thing. And by the Office of National Drug Control Policy, parents, the anti-drug. 1st and 10, Kansas State leading 24-0 here in the third quarter. On the delayed handoff to Darren Sproles. He goes ahead to the 13 for a gain of 2. Antoine Bynum and Sean Doyle made the tackle. Roberson has rushed for 63 yards. He's passed for 129. He has a man open. It's Terry behind the defense. James Terry out of bounds in Missouri territory all the way to the 31-yard line. Well, that is textbook Kansas State offense. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and then throw it deep over your head. And that one's good for 56 yards.
This is a nice route by Terry, but there's nothing textbook about this throw. That's a big-time ball from L. Roberson. And, you know, when L. Roberson signed at Kansas State, and after the coaches got a look at him, I mean, look at that ball right there. They knew that he had Michael Bishop-type talent. And, you know, here in his junior year, he's starting to deliver. That was some kind of pass play, especially for a Kansas State offense.
Roberson appears to be changing the play. And he decides to keep it and pays the price for that decision. He got drilled to the ground by Russ Bell, defensive tackle. Monday night, Al Michaels and John Madden will be on hand to watch the 49ers play host to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles without Donovan McNabb. It'll be up to their defense to shut down Jeff Garcia and Terrell Owens. That's the Eagles and 49ers Monday night at 9, 6 Pacific. Bell, a 3-time track All-American, who came to the football coaches this fall and said, I want to play football. He started playing football and he's become a regular contributor. Roberson takes off but cannot fully escape. And he's down at the 27-yard line. Tackled by Sean Doyle.
You know, Sean, it's been very evident that both defenses for Missouri and Kansas State have focused on not letting the opposing quarterback run the football. Kansas State's done a great job of shutting down Brad Smith and his legs, and L. Roberson really hasn't had a chance to get on track, but it's basically been the field position and the ability for Kansas State to move the ball in the air and with the tailback. It's been the difference in this football game.
3rd and 6. He rolls out, throws back, and the ball is dropped. He was throwing it to Thomas Barnett, the tackle, and a flag thrown. Apparently they thought he had reported as an eligible receiver, but the officials didn't think so. Now they're all going to confer, and Bill Snyder's way out on the field, and the officials are over there to tell him to get back.
They may wave this flag off.
He is hot, Coach Snyder. And the officials are still backing him up.
Well, you're right on top of it, Sean. That's exactly what Kansas State did. They wanted him to come in and report, and sometimes the message on the reporting doesn't always get across.
Meanwhile, Barnett with the ball ran all the way down to the 5-yard line and got tangled up with the Missouri Tiger, and there's another flag thrown down there for something after the play. Barnett and Tia Ellison. There's the flag at the 5.
Barnett made a smart play at the end of that pass play. Even though it fell incomplete, Barnett wasn't sure whether it was a lateral or not, so he covered the football, and then he continued down the field.
Yeah, that's way after the whistles had stopped the play and the officials were conferring. Bill Snyder's very lucky he didn't get a flag thrown on him. He was all the way out to the numbers screaming at the officials.
Well, they've got a number of issues to sort out here. First of all, was it an incomplete pass or a lateral? And then they can determine what the laundry's all about.
Illegal touching. An ineligible receiver touched a forward pass. Penalties declined. 4th down.
What was the other flag for? They threw the flag at the 5-yard line for the tussle. Apparently they're just ignoring that one and picking it up.
Well, the net of it is this officiating crew is going to say that Barnett did not report in as an eligible receiver because it was clear that big number 65 was the intended receiver.
They might have been maintaining it was a lateral. In any event, it's 4th down and 6, and they're going to go for the 1st down. And the play clock is running out down to 3, 2, 1 when they just do get it off. Roberson under pressure, and he goes down back at the 38-yard line. Bynum and Bell combining on the sack. And K-State turns it over on downs. Minus 11 on the play, and perhaps some momentum for a Tiger team that could really use it.
And for the first time, L. Roberson really harassed in the pocket. And things cave in a hurry. Russ Bell, nice job on this set of downs. Antoine Bynum, and that could have easily been called a 5-yard face mask.
Smith, little pump fake, and then throwing deep, and Gage got his hands on it. And once again, he can't get anything done against Terrence Newman, who is running stride for stride with Gage, a two-sport athlete here. He's been an important member of the basketball program. When the football seasons have ended, he's going to forego basketball when this football season's over to concentrate on football.
And he's made a lot of big plays, got a lot of mileage out of going up and battling defensive backs for the football. And he burned his redshirt year in game number 10 as a freshman, as a true freshman coming on to play quarterback. And kind of scary to think what that means to this football team to have Justin Gage back next year if they wouldn't have burned that redshirt, Sean.
What a shame. Zach Abram on 2nd and 10, stopped immediately by Corey White, a loss on the play of a yard. It'll be 3rd down and 11.
That decision to take away his redshirt year, as we look at a snapshot here at Gage, was not made by this coaching staff.
He's set virtually every school record for wide receivers. From Jefferson City, just down the road from Columbia. Out of the gun. Smith, another deep ball for Gage, and it is incomplete again. Newman at perfect position. Well, Newman, the coach is billing him as a first-round draft pick, and you'd have to think he hasn't done anything to hurt that today.
He went to John Saunders in New York earlier and saw Carson Palmer hook up with Kareem Kelly for the first touchdown against UCLA. Newman shut down Kareem Kelly. This Kansas State team shut down the Trojans earlier this year. And Newman, definitely the type of guy that NFL scouts are looking for. He can lock up man to man, and he has taken care of Justin Gage this afternoon.
Newman back at the 16-yard line, waiting for the punt from Goschler. He's angling it toward the sideline, then it goes out of bounds inside the 20. Good effort by the punter again, 43 yards with no return. Well, not much to smile about for the home fans here in Columbia. Missouri trailing 24-0. Hopes of bowl eligibility growing more faint by the moment. Flag down before the snap.
Prior to the snap, ball start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain first down.
In 1954, Bear Bryant took 115 football players into the desert of West Texas. Only a handful would ever play for him. The Junction Boys, the greatest sports story never told. Saturday, December 14th at 9 Eastern on ESPN. Did you read that book, The Junction Boys?
No, I haven't.
What a great book.
I'm sure I would have been able to hold up under that kind of coaching.
Roberson managed to escape and get out to the 22. Tackled by Marcus King. He had the 91-yard touchdown run last week against Nebraska, and he's grabbing at his lower left leg, perhaps a cramp. Only the second man ever to run for more than 90 yards and a touchdown against Nebraska. The other, the incomparable Gale Sayers of Kansas back in 1963.
It's definitely a cramp, and it looks like his calf is starting to tighten up on him. Unseasonably warm day for November in Columbia.
And Mark Dunn, the backup quarterback, is warming up.
Dunn got the first 4 starts for this Kansas State team, and got into game number 4 against USC. Offense is Ron Hudson called it was floundering midway through the second quarter, and it's been all L. Roberson since.
Dunn's a senior from Brigham City, Utah. His dad played at BYU. Victor Mann close to the first down. He appears to have it at the 29-yard line. Jason Simpson made the tackle. And a redshirt freshman from Fort Worth has been actively involved in the offense today.
Yeah, The offensive line has been pretty active as well. And this big offensive line working for Kansas State has allowed these quarterbacks to distribute the wealth. A lot of backs getting carries and a lot of backs picking up yardage.
Still Dunn at quarterback, and he's changing the play. Sproles bounces ahead to the 33. They put Sproles back into the game late in the game last week against Nebraska when Coach Snyder was informed that he had 85 yards rushing, needed 15 more for a 7th straight 100-yard game. So they put Sproles back in, and he wound up rushing 70 yards, carrying the ball 70 yards for a touchdown to go way over the 100-yard mark. And perhaps the only person other than the Nebraska folks cheering against him was Bobby Elliott, the defensive coordinator for K-State. Here comes Sproles again. He's over 100 again this week now. Coach Elliott jokingly said we wanted to hold Nebraska under 200 yards, and if Sproles hadn't gone the distance, the offense would have stayed on the field. Nebraska wouldn't have got the ball back. And when he went 70, Nebraska got the ball back and wound up getting over 200 yards of offense for the game. 8 straight games now with 100 yards or more. And here's Roberson back into the game.
That's so impressive. 8 in a row, and nobody deserves it more than Sproles. I mean, he has an incredible work ethic on this football team in practice. And I think, there's a spot for him if he continues to mature. I think he's an NFL type guy.
And he has another first down out to the 45. Well, you're not going to see him pounding his chest or spouting off in the media. When we talked with Ron Hudson, the offensive coordinator, he said, I have not heard him say 10 words all year talking about Sproles.
I was visiting with Ron Hudson at the hotel this morning. He said, hey, Darren, come over here and say hi to my friend. And of course, Ron Hudson was a coach of mine out at UCLA a long while ago. And Sproles, hard to believe he plays football at that size, but you watch him on a football field with the pads on and becomes pretty serious in a hurry.
Flag down before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5 penalty and remain first down.
21 first downs for K-State and 3 for Missouri. Wow.
Yeah, it's called utter dominance, and 3 first downs for this Missouri team. And as we said, Gary Pinkel, big difference from this year as opposed to last year is when we played the big boys, we'd get blown out. This year they lost to Nebraska, Iowa State, Colorado, 7 points apiece, all 3 games. Hadn't been the case today.
Wildcats have had 9 penalties, but they've managed to overcome the flags. Sproles again, and Kinney made the tackle. Back at the 45-yard line. Sproles is a playmaker, and he's been making them all day today.
Great ability to stay low in the pad level, and nice change of direction ability. Boy, he sees a crease, he hits it.
Trying to throw it over their heads again, and they do to the tight end, Thomas Hill. Down to the 20-yard line. They'll mark it at the 19. We mentioned that is so typical of Kansas State. The Missouri coaches were talking about it. They run, and then when they throw it, they usually try to throw it deep over your head after you creep up to stop the run. That one's good for 36.
Yeah, we saw the deep ball prior, a couple possessions ago to Terry, delivered down the field on a line, this time with touch. I mean, Hill had an underneath defender, a linebacker trailing him, and the air underneath the football dropped it in the second level. What a beautiful throw again by L. Roberson, and a pretty nice catch again by Hill getting down the field.
They're averaging 22 yards per completion today on the 10 completions for Roberson. He's 10 out of 17.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain first down.
And that's the 10th penalty. Tomorrow, join ABC Sports in Paris for the 4th stop of the ISU Grand Prix Series of figure skating. The USA's Sasha Cohen and Michael Weiss go for gold at Trophy Lalique. I know David will be watching. He loves figure skating. That's tomorrow at 1 Eastern, 2 Pacific on ABC Sports Championship Television.
He always fashioned himself as a Renaissance man, Sean. Why don't you have you over sometime for some skating?
Victor Mann takes the handoff straight ahead.
Big question for Kansas State next year is, can they patch a couple holes in the offensive line, this dominant offensive line? They'll lose 3 seniors up front. If they can reload along the offensive front, they get Roberson back. Sproles is only a sophomore, and that could be a pretty picture for some teams in the Big 12 if they can keep rolling on offense the way they are this year. And Roberson, I think, is going to continue to mature. He's going to be a big-time Heisman candidate next year.
Roberson, the late pitch. Sproles in trouble. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Good penetration by the Missouri defense. Morris Ferguson and Marcus King combining on the stop of Sproles. Both safeties up there around the line of scrimmage. Under a minute left in the third quarter. We asked Bill Snyder the other day when we chatted about, is he a fan of a playoff system, because it's become very trendy the last couple of weeks to talk about if there was a playoff, Kansas State would be a candidate, a strong candidate, you think, to win a playoff. You had 8 teams, 12 teams, 16 teams, whatever it might be. Roberson throws, has a man open. Taco Wallace inside the 5, touchdown!
Kansas State.
23 yards, and it's 30-0.
Roberson has made all the throws.
Roberson.
Sean, when you have that kind of arm strength, you threaten a lot of different spots on the football field. That ball came out of the pocket quick and with some mustard on it. And Wallace, nifty job of moving the ball downfield and across the goal line for the touchdown. Nice job after the catch.
Joe Ream. Adds the extra point.
Kick is good.
28 seconds left in the third quarter. The touchdown by Wallace, his 4th of the year, caps an 82-yard drive. Sean McDonough, David Norrie, back in Columbia, Missouri. Kansas State well on its way to its 5th win in a row, its 10th win of the season overall, leading 31-0 in the final seconds of the third quarter. They have outgained Missouri now 460-88. Jared Bright to kick off to Sherdanya Mitchell and Tyrone Roberson. Low line drive kick. Fielded on the bounce by Mitchell. And again, they won't make the 20-yard line on a kickoff return as Paul O'Neill came flying down to make the tackle for Kansas State.
That kickoff coverage team has been major impact on this football game. I mean, they have gotten downfield and they have covered on this kick return game, done a great job.
Final game of the regular season for Kansas State and Missouri here in Columbia at Faurot Field. Tough day for Brad Smith and the Missouri Tigers. Hoping for the win that would get them to 6-6 in bowl eligibility. They've been dominated throughout. Outlaw runs out of bounds at the 25, 2 yards short of the first down. Josh Buell chased him out. In the Big 12 today, Oklahoma State bowl eligible now with the big win over Baylor. Wow, is that score correct? Connecticut won at Iowa State. My goodness. And Texas Tech and Oklahoma in the big one tonight in the Big 12 South. Wide receiver screen. Finally Gage has a catch, but it's for a loss of a yard on the play. And that'll be the final play of the third quarter. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You're watching ABC Sports, the class of college football.
K-State trying to keep that string intact. Not allowed a touchdown in the fourth quarter of their last 7 games. Smith runs for a first down on the first play of the fourth quarter. And there's Bob Elliott in the middle of your screen there, the defensive coordinator for Kansas State. What a great job he's done in his first year here as defensive coordinator. He came over from Iowa State, where he served as associate head coach to Dan McCarney. He was there for 2 years after a long run at Iowa. Many believed he was the heir apparent to Hayden Fry when Coach Fry decided to retire. Flea flicker. Roberson threw it back to Smith. Has a man open. Gage. It took some trickery to finally get him free from Terrence Newman. And the play goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 56 yards on the reception by Gage.
For this play to work, you got to have a great sell on the fake. And Justin Gage selling his blocking, coming into the inside, made it look like he was going to crack back inside, takes it up, and even though this was a great hookup between quarterback and wide receiver, what a job by Newman recovering and saving the touchdown.
Second catch for Gage. They've come in the last couple of moments. Pump fake and a throw to the corner of the end zone. Gage again. Incomplete. Newman had the coverage. Gage thought he had a touchdown. The officials say he was out of bounds.
Yeah, this was almost the same kind of catch that Gage made in the corner of the end zone against Colorado earlier this year. And that heartbreaking overtime loss to the Buffaloes. With his size, 6'4", can go up for the football. And Newman, look at Newman stripping with the right hand. See if that
that's
right
a touchdown.
That right foot comes in.
Yeah, that's a bad call.
Yeah, it looked like he had possession of the football all the way there.
Roberson chopped down in the open field by Bobby Walker, the senior from Tyler, Texas. Just to finish the story about Bobby Elliott, right about the time Hayden Fry was to retire as head coach at Iowa, Elliott was stricken with blood cancer, very serious health problems, had to undergo a bone marrow transplant, left coaching for a year. When he came back, there'd been the coaching change at Iowa with Kirk Ferentz taking over. And Elliott, trying to get back into coaching, wound up at Iowa State with Dan McCarney. Smith pushed out of bounds, shy of the 10-yard line. Crowd wanted to call for a late hit. Tank Reese made the tackle.
Let's take one more look at the great play by Gage. The right foot's down. And there's some green between the sideline and that white shoe, and it looks like he secures the football. Newman trying to strip with the right hand. Took one away from Gary Pinkel and his troops.
Pinkel was not happy with the officiating last week at Texas A&M when his team was penalized 14 times. They were averaging 6 penalties per game going into that game. Penalized only 3 times today. Smith throws for Gage again. Will they give him that one? Touchdown! Flag down.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a yard penalty and remain 4th down.
Justin Gage starting to wonder what it's going to take for him to get credit for 6 points. Same route, fade to the left side. Nice job by Gage to create some separation. I mean, he beat Newman on this play, and this is a consummate one-on-one matchup down on the goal line on the fade route. And Gage ran the better route, beat Newman. Unfortunately, the false start takes the 6 right back down off the board.
Smith runs out of bounds, and K-State takes over on downs. So they still have not given up a touchdown in the fourth quarter, although they had a little help from the officials to keep that streak intact. 7 games in a row without a touchdown in the fourth quarter. They've only given up 2 touchdowns all year in the fourth, and that was against USC as the Trojans tried to come back late against K-State, but the Wildcats held on for a 27-20 victory. in the 4th game of the season for Coach Snyder's team.
It's a good opportunity to teach your young quarterback there, though. On a 4th down situation, you don't want to just run out of bounds. Put the ball up. And it is a 31-0 game here, so no harm really to Brad Smith in Missouri. But when a game is on the line, you want to teach your young quarterback as he matures to at least give a wide receiver a chance to make a play in the end zone.
Victor Mann, the ball carrier. Vatia Ellison made the tackle. Let's hope Bobby Elliott does get that chance to be a head coach sometime. He has a terrific resume, an outstanding coach, as he's proving here, filling in for Phil Bennett. He moved on to a head coaching opportunity. They had great defenses under Bennett, and they have a great defense this year under Coach Elliott. Roberson keeps, spins near a 1st down. They actually have 2 coordinators at K-State, Ron Hudson too. Both of these guys, Hudson and Elliott, are great candidates to be head coaches. See what it's like when time is running out. ABC presents a world premiere movie, The Pennsylvania Miners Story. That's tomorrow at 9/8 Central, right here on ABC.
Yeah, you bring up Ron Hudson, of course. He's had a great run here. There he is right there. 7 years, 7th year as offensive coordinator. And what a job has he done. I mean, this is an offensive juggernaut. Working the controls up there. And a lot to look forward to with Roberson and Sproles coming back next year.
You have to love the effort of the K-State backs, too. You need to do everything you can to get them on the ground. They're not going to go down at any first sign of contact. That was Ayo Saba picking up the 1st down out at the 37-yard line.
It was an important milestone as we look at the big guys work up front. Important milestone last week. It wasn't the first time this Kansas State program has beaten Nebraska, but to beat Nebraska the way they did last week, I mean, that was a style of victory that Nebraska used to paste on Kansas State over the years. And the way this Wildcat team dominated the Huskers a week ago was really a statement for this program.
Subs in now. Dunn back in at quarterback. And it's Saba again, the ball carrier. Speaking of the subs being in, you think of all the years that Nebraska just pounded K-State when the Wildcats were just about defensive. After the game last week, the biggest win ever for K-State against Nebraska, the final score 49-13. Coach Snyder was asked by a student newspaper reporter if he was running it up by leaving his starters in late in the game. There are a lot of K-State fans who thought that day would never come when their coach would be asked about running it up against Nebraska. And Coach Snyder just ignored the question.
In true Bill Snyder fashion.
Saba the ball carrier again. Well, I think a mark of how far this program has come when they did post that rousing lopsided win at home in Manhattan last week. They didn't rip down the goalposts. They acted like they've been there before because they have. It's 3 trips in a row for Nebraska into the Little Apple, after which they've departed with a loss. Saba, 1st down run in the Mizzou territory. At the 46-yard line, Henry Sweat made the tackle. Those might be the final numbers of the day for Roberson. It does not appear that Roberson will return. Great passing day for him, 244 yards. He averages just 112 passing yards per game. That's a little bit below his average of 90 yards per game rushing.
That's characteristic of this offense. So when you have success on the ground, you're not going to have a lot of passing attempts, but you're going to go for big chunks on play action. And 244 yards on 11 completions, I call those chunks big ones.
Well, the tight formation, they're just trying to run out the clock now. Nick Hoheisel, the ball carrier, for a short gain. The Pacific Life game summary. And Sproles, the first offensive touchdown of the game for the Kansas State Wildcats. Ayo Saba scored on a 3-yard touchdown run. And a nice run after the catch by Taco Wallace. And now it's Mark Dunn at quarterback. The late pitch. Saba near another first down. And the clock continues to run down to 9.5 minutes left.
no doubt, Sean, that we're going to see a couple undefeated teams, at least most likely in the championship game. But when you talk about the most complete team in the country in all three phases of the football game, I haven't seen a better team than Kansas State.
Well, that goes back to what we were talking about before the touchdown interrupted us. Coach Snyder's comments about a playoff. He said he was never a proponent of the playoff system until a few years ago when he felt like the BCS alignment didn't treat him very well. They didn't go to anywhere near as high profile bowl as they felt they should have years ago. Saba carries again. We'll get back to the point in a moment. First, we want to tell you about Friday, a great football doubleheader. It starts at noon and then at 3:30. It's Colorado and Nebraska following Texas A&M and Texas. Bill Snyder says now he was in favor before of preserving the bowls, and he liked the BCS within the bowl structure. After they got mistreated, he felt a few years ago with their bowl assignment, he's leaning toward a playoff. If they had a playoff right now, Melvin and his team have just about as good a chance as anybody.
They'd be tough, and you know, I can understand Snyder being bitter after that '98 season, going 2 overtimes in a Big 12 championship game against A&M, really just seconds away from going to the national championship game, and he ends up in the Alamo Bowl. And there were 3 other one-loss teams that year too: UCLA, Arizona, Ohio State, and of course UCLA had the big loss down in Miami. But you know, to play in that national title game, as we said, you got to have luck and you've got to convert. And oftentimes you've got to be undefeated, and Kansas State just inches away from getting that done back in 1998.
And second and long, movement along the line.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remains second down.
There's the BCS top 10 today. On Thursday night, Miami won. Ohio State beat Michigan today. Notre Dame won over Rutgers. USC with a healthy lead against UCLA. Michigan losing the battle with Ohio State. And Kansas State on its way to victory. Florida State trailing North Carolina State.
Washington State with a tall order with a win against Washington tonight, and then UCLA next week. We also need Virginia Tech to come up big against Miami if the Cougars are going to have a chance to line up against Ohio State.
Timeout called by Kansas State. Midway through the fourth quarter. Back in Columbia after the timeout by K-State. Second down and 18 for the Cats. And Mark Dunn is going to change the play. Deep drop, he throws. Incomplete. Got his signals crossed, but the receiver, James Terry, Michael Harden, the defender nearest the ball. Then it'll be third down and long.
Some people may be wondering why the passing game is late in the ball game, up 31-0, but Mark Dunn's the type of guy, and you get Roberson running the football as much as he does. You get that number 1 quarterback banged up, knocked down. Mark Dunn has to be fresh with some game time experience under his belt, and this is often the time to get it.
He was the National Junior College Player of the Year in the year 2000 at Ricks College in Idaho.
Substitution infraction on the offense, 5-yard penalty, it remains third down.
He threw for over 4,300 yards in 2000, and then came to K-State last year, got into 9 games. He's an older player, 24 years old. He's a Mormon, went on a 2-year church mission before going to junior college and then transferred here. He's married to the former Elizabeth May. And it looks like he's changing the play again on third down and 23. No rush. Going deep for Wallace, and he has it. Touchdown, Taco Wallace. A terrific throw by Dunn. "46 yards on the touchdown." And the fans, and there are a lot of them who've made about the 4.5-hour drive over from Manhattan, are enjoying this one. A lot of the fans have left. 47,507 the attendance today. The purple-clad Wildcat fans are hanging around and enjoy every second of this one.
Done so much time in the pocket. I mean, he was counting the house on that play. And Missouri secondary pretty slow to react to the ball in the air.
Secondary suspect, and even against a team that is predominantly a running team, they've had difficulty again being victimized through the air. The extra point by Ream makes it 38-0. ABC Sport presentation of college football brought to you by Nissan and your Nissan dealer, by Miller Lite, life is best told at a place called Miller Time, and by Taco Bell, think outside the bun. From Taco Bell to Taco Wallace. His touchdown has padded the lead for K-State. Kickoff down to Tyrone Roberson. He managed to sneak across the 20 to the 24-yard line. Tackled by Carlos Alsop. All K-State. Touchdown by Wallace has made it 38-0. Missouri begins 1st and 10 from its own 24. 2 TDs today for Wallace.
Beautiful play on that ball from Dunn.
Brad Smith. A nice block to get a little extra time to fire it out to midfield, incomplete. Intended for Ben Frederickson.
Let's take a look at the catch once again, and look at him go up high. Wrestle the ball away in midair. Looking against Marcus King, the free safety. King a little bit slow to get over. The second TD catch in both plays, both touchdowns. Beautiful.
Last time the Tigers
Taco
were shut out was in 1999 by Kansas State. That was up in Manhattan. The last time they were shut out here at home was in 1992. Abram with nothing doing, a loss on the play. That was 6-0 to Colorado. Now here at Missouri, as you know, David, they have a tradition. The members of the Army ROTC program, the cadets, they fire off the cannon after any Missouri score. Touchdown, field goal, doesn't matter. It's a tradition that dates back to the early 1900s. Well, no action for the cannon today. Might be the first time in 10 years they haven't been able to shoot that thing, fire that thing in a home game.
It's kind of like a ceasefire, isn't it? When it's shut out.
They're ready to go, though. Standing by. Smith going deep. And out of bounds. Looking for Gage. Newman blanketing him again. Time permitting, the Thrifty Car Rental postgame show will come your way, featuring scores and highlights from across the country. I think the way this is going, there might be time. I think we'll have some scores and highlights and bonus college football coverage here today.
Just let us send it back to New York.
Don't want to promise anything, but I think there's a chance. Thrifty could see air tonight. New punt return man is Derek Evans. This will be the 9th punt of the day for Goschler. Maybe getting a little leg weary. One of his worst punts of the day. Evans caught it at the 40. And he's into Mizzou territory at the 46. 14-yard return of a 37-yard punt. The Nissan Drive summary, an impressive half of offense for Kansas State. Every possession they've had the ball at least 7 plays. They've had 3 touchdown drives of better than 80 yards. 82 twice and 86 once. And on 1st and 10, the loss on the handoff to Carlos Alsop, the redshirt freshman from Liberal, Kansas. He was tackled by Russ Bell. Loss of 3 on the play. They've run 78 plays today as compared to 47 for Missouri.
Also on the last carry, tackled by Bell, loss of 3.
Total yardage is 553 to 161. Dunn running the option. Also is trying to stay in bounds. Loses a couple more back to the 48-yard line. Russ Bell and Jason Simpson made the tackle. Simpson's from an athletic family. His mother is the assistant athletic director and basketball coach at the Woodlands High School near Houston, where Jason attended high school as well.
Third and 15.
Third and long, third down and 15 for Kansas State. After this one, they'll wait to find out what their bowl fate might be. Mizzou will not go bowling this year. They're hoping to go for the first time since 1998. Cotton Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, the Alamo Bowl, the most popular guesses as to the possible bowl destination of the Wildcats. Victor Mann, the ball carrier, and Sean Doyle, the tackler. K-State content just to get this one over with, keeping the ball on the ground. Certainly can't be accused of running it up. Here are the bowl tie-ins. Of course, the champion will go to the big BCS Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Holiday Bowl, Alamo Bowl, all possibilities. Likely to fall all the way down to the Tangerine Bowl. The punt is blocked. Blocked by Antoine Bynum. Rick Gerla was the punter. The rest of the bowl affiliations, the tie-ins, the Tangerine Bowl, the Houston Bowl, the Independence Bowl, the Humanitarian Bowl. So even when they have a punt block that goes fairly well for Kansas State, it managed to go across the line of scrimmage down to the 27-yard line. Just the second punt of the day, and the first for Gerla. Travis Brown handled the first one.
I don't expect to get that type of punt rush. 38 zip score in the fourth quarter, but a nice play by Bynum nonetheless.
T.J. Leon, the ball carrier for Missouri. They'll keep it on the ground. They seem content now to bring a halt to the festivities, take their beating, and look toward the future, which you still have to think, despite this one, David, is very bright. No question that Gary Pinkel's bringing more talent in this program. They have much of their nucleus back next year. Their entire starting offensive line. Smith and Abram will both be back. Most of the defense comes back as well. Here's Leon again. Senior from Norman, Oklahoma. Playing in his final game. He missed all of the 2000 season with a broken ankle. TJ's sister was also a terrific athlete. She was a sprinter, two-time letter winner at the University of Oklahoma.
We'll talk about Gary Pinkel, Sean, and bright days ahead. It's a tough league, the Big 12. All the teams, Colorado, Nebraska, Iowa State, A&M, Oklahoma. Up and down this league. Not a very easy job to turn around any program. This season for Gary Pinkel, especially the way he played the top teams this year, much tighter than a year ago, but going to end this one on a down note. Kind of the same way that last year's season ended when they got controlled up at East Lansing against Michigan State. Brad Smith, I think, is a difference. He's going to be the guy that they will build this program around in the days ahead, and I think he's the type of quarterback, if they can keep him around here for 2 or 3 years, I think Gary Pinkel really has something to work with.
Another 10-win season for Kansas State. It'll be the 7th time in school history that they've done that. (1910, 1995, 97, 98, 99, 2000, and now 2002. Of course, they had the 4 years in a row of 11 wins, 97 through 2000, back to 6-6 last year. With now 10 wins and a chance for an 11th in a bowl game. Brad Smith picked up the first down to 2:20 in the clock running remaining.
Talk about the great depth and the great quality up and down this Big 12 conference. One thing Gary Pinkel can rely on is looking back on this year and having leads in the fourth quarter against Colorado, Oklahoma, playing Nebraska down to the wire. Those are things that you can build upon.
Everly made the tackle on Smith.
Missouri came into this game with the game plan of throwing the football and getting some yardage in first and second down, but really based upon Brad Smith's ability to get the ball down the field and have some success in the passing game, and they have not been able to do it. And as a result, this offense has been stalled.
Here's Leon with some running room. He has a first down out to midfield. Nice run by Leon. Marcus Patton made the tackle. The Chevrolet players of the game are Terrence Newman for Kansas State. Did a great job all day covering against Justin Gage. Had the punt return for a touchdown and an interception in the game. And for Missouri, the punter. Todd Goschler punted 9 times for a 44-yard average. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
Not a good day when your punter is the player of the game.
I think that's a good choice, though. He was their best player.
Have to ice him down in the locker room after this one.
1 minute to go. For Brad Smith, a terrific season individually. He said yesterday when we talked with him he'd give himself a C. I think most people would think he deserves a much better grade than that. Hasn't been a great day today. But he'll keep getting better and better. Gary Pinkel talks about his tremendous work ethic. Coach Pinkel said he'd be driving by here in the wintertime, spring, summer, and frequently late at night, 10 o'clock at night. He'd look in the indoor facility that they have here. The lights would be on. He'd go in there and it'd be Smith throwing footballs into trash cans that he had scattered around the room. Working on his throwing, always working. This is likely to be another shutout for Kansas State. It'll be their 3rd of the year. Louisiana Monroe, Kansas, and Missouri if they can complete the job here. And shutouts are nothing new for this defense. During the Snyder era, they have posted a shutout in each of the last 9 seasons. At least one shutout in each of those years.
Sean, they're going to look back at this year, and when they look at the statistics over the course of this 12-game season, this is going to be one of the dominant statistical seasons that we've seen not only at Kansas State but in the history of this conference. I mean, what a year for Coach Bill Snyder. Oh, so close to playing in a BCS contest.
7 points from an undefeated season. Instead, the regular season ends at 10-2. For Missouri, it ends at 5-7. Once again, the final score: Kansas State 38, Missouri nothing. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. Now John Saunders in Times Square Stadium.